We are going to make a homemade chicken Alfredo with vegetables, making the Alfredo sauce from scratch. I am missing one ingredient, but nonetheless, it tastes just as good. So, as we go over here, we've got our vegetables, got some butter. I highly recommend getting this. It's a little pricey right now, but you can get it on sale. It's ranch seasoning. I use it for almost anything I want with a little pizzazz. And for making our Alfredo, we've got flour, milk, butter, and the mozzarella. I'm also missing the Parmesan. That also goes in the Alfredo, but like I said, it's just as good. And here, I got some chicken strips, which I will cook and then cut up, and that will be for our chicken. Alright, so I'm going to prepare the chicken. Stop it. Alright, so right now I'm preparing the chicken, cutting it up to bite-sized pieces, because it will actually cook a little bit better. And for those of you who just go and buy it frozen or have frozen chicken in your freezer, you can really do this stuff after you've cooked it as well. I just happen to have had it thawing out for separating it into sections for later times. But I find that if you take and you put a little bit of water in your frying pan and then cover it until it starts thawing out and gets a little bit more manageable, you can then take the top off and let it boil, and the water will just evaporate. So like I said, I'm going to cut these into bite-sized pieces. Don't worry, some of this stuff like here, I know some of you guys don't like fat or whatever, but it'll just kind of cook off as you're cooking it. And helps if you have a nice non-stick pan, either that or just, throw a little bit of oil, your favorite oil, or butter in with your pan and your chicken, and then you can, if you want, you can season it a little bit extra. I like to make mine with ranch that I showed you a little bit earlier. I'll be adding that as soon as I cook it. And if you throw water in it while it's cooking and you want to season it while it's cooking, having it boil a little bit will help with the seasoning, especially if this is like a last minute thing and you don't have a couple days or whatever to marinate your chicken or meat. Or even if you try this with hamburger, you can throw the seasoning in the water along with your ingredients, and you can cook it that way. I just happen to get lucky and getting a bunch of veins with mine, so it's making it difficult to cut up. But you definitely want to get as much of the meat as possible, because if you're like me, where money is tight, you want to get the most out of your food. So, my next step, I will be putting this back in here, and then I'll be transferring it to the pot as soon as I wash my hands. Alright, this is a pretty good non-stick pan, but adding a little bit of oil to it and then have it a little bit warm helps as well. But have it warm. Mine kind of was warming up while I was cutting up the chicken. Swirl it around a little bit, and then throw a little bit of water in. Because like I said, if you want to season it, you're going to want to have some water in to help it cook in and into the meat. So I'm just gonna move this stuff around. And like I said, I got the ranch seasoning. I'm going to take it, sprinkle it in. I like mine to taste a little heavy, because once everything's mixed together, it's not going to be really tasted much. So just kind of move it around just a little bit. Don't have to get it all too mixed, because as it cooks, it will boil around and you'll be able to get it in. Now I'm going to cover it. I got a universal cover I bought off Amazon. If it's different sizes, that works just fine. Alright, so now I'm going to prepare the veggies. I'm going to bake for 350 degrees. And depending on your appliance, you're just going to have to watch it. I generally do it in increments of 10 minutes at a time while periodically checking. So I've got all my veggies here, and I'm going to pour some oil in it. And then I'm going to season it. My wife kind of likes it, her ingredients a little spicy. She likes the kick, so I got some red cayenne. Just gonna sprinkle all over it. I got some Italian seasoning. There's generic. Some of these are generic. You know, like I said, on budget. I usually shop at a Pick and Save by me. I don't know what all you guys have where you're at, but you know, you can just go wherever. This is tarragon. It's really dry leaves, I guess you can say they are. I got some sage. Don't overpower. You know, like I said, you just want to sprinkle, because as it cooks, it'll be absorbed. And I got some cumin. I like to tease my wife with it sometimes and mispronounce the word. So after that's done, want to take it and just throw it in the oven. I usually throw it on the top rack and keep an eye on it. Alright, so I got some fettuccine number 6. It's the medium price range. It kind of, you know, brings the whole meal together. There's only 2 of us eating, so I'm not going to use the whole box. So I usually take a little handful like this and then break it up. As we are on budget, we got to ration our ingredients along with everything else. You know, it's really good to have a small amount, that way you don't throw anything away. It's always better to make more than have to throw it away or have it sit in the back of the fridge for who knows how long and never be used. So, alright, so I'm back, you know, checking my noodles, watching them, and make sure, you know, they don't stick. And I find if you throw a little bit of either oil or butter in the water, it helps them from sticking together. And I'm also going to check on my chicken. Like I said, if you throw it in some water, it will cook a little bit faster, especially if it's frozen. If it's frozen, you don't have to put a lot of water, because the water molecules that are already in it, along with it being covered, will actually create its own water. And if you put too much water in, you might as well just make chicken soup. So as you can see, the ranch has mixed up and is now dispersed throughout all the chicken. And here in a little bit, because I see some of it is still pretty pink on the inside, I will take off the cover and allow this water to boil and evaporate, and then I will make the chicken a little bit crispier, and then we will start our sauce. Alright, so I'm back, now checking my noodles, watching them, and make sure they don't stick. And I find if you throw a little bit of either oil or butter in the water, it helps them from sticking together. And I'm also going to check on my chicken. Like I said, if you throw it in some water, it will cook a little bit faster, especially if it's frozen. And if it's frozen, you don't have to put a lot of water, because the water molecules that are already in it, along with it being covered, will actually create its own water. And if you put too much water in, well, you might as well just make chicken soup. So as you can see, the ranch has mixed up and is now dispersed throughout all the chicken. And here in a little bit, because I see some of it is still pretty pink on the inside, I will take off the cover and allow this water to boil and evaporate, and then I will make the chicken a little bit crispier, and then we will start our sauce. Alright, so I'm checking my chicken again. It looks to be it's about done. All you gotta do is just take one of them. If it separates really easy and it's no longer got that pinkish color, you can now leave it uncovered, but turn it down to about medium lowish, and just let the water kind of boil off. As you can see, it's kind of turning a thickish kind of gravy almost, which is kind of good, as you can now take that and mix that in really well. I'm just going to stir this while it kind of cooks off a little bit more. Okay, now once it gets to this point where most of the gravy has been absorbed or is covered, turn it down to simmer or low. And then you can take in, if you were to have done this while it was frozen and you have big chunks, you can now take this. As you can see, I just got a pair of tongs. I'm just separating the pieces, cutting them up. Especially if it's really good chicken, you don't need a knife or a cutting board. You can just separate it. And then we'll do that. Now we'll jump over to our noodles. Check them. Those are done. So we're going to turn that off. And I will drain that in a second. And now, for the most important part, we are going to make our sauce. I got a normal little small pot here. You're going to want to do half a cup of butter, half a cup of flour, 2 cups milk, and a cup of mozzarella. And typically, if you have Parmesan, you're going to do a half of cup of Parmesan. So I'm going to take and start getting this going. I'm going to turn it to medium heat. Take your butter. That's about kind of what you need right there. And just finish scooping and getting it all into your bowl. Now you want to let it melt. So you can, typically have it up on high to get it to melt more. Swirl it around a bit. Okay, once your butter is fairly good and melted, you're going to want to grab a measuring cup. I got a third cup, which is close enough. And you're going to want to scoop out your flour. I have a cup in here already, but that's going to be gotten rid of. Any flour will do. It just depends on your preference. So I've got this cup here. I'm going to pour it in. And you gotta stir it until it's kind of become almost dough-ish. So something like this. And then you're gonna want to take 1 cup at a time and mix your milk in with the dough-like substance you've now created. As it starts to kind of break up, you're going to want to finish pouring the 2nd cup in. Otherwise, you're going to have too much temperature difference between the 2 cups, and it's going to take twice as long to join. Make sure you get all the lumps down in there, and just you're going to want to stir it for a little while. Make sure all your lumps are getting absorbed. Make sure there's nothing sticking to the pan. So, some people are picky, but so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this kind of in the center. Ooh, I should probably stir it up a little bit because it's starting to thicken. Because otherwise all of it would have separated and you would have lost half of your flavor. So now I just want to pour a little bit here in the center. You can see there's oil and whatnot on the bottom. You know, that's fine as long as you scoop it out and dunk it, you will be fine. You can also do this by adding a cup to the center and pouring your sauce into it that way. But this will save you on dishes, time, and just that. So here we go. We've got our vegetables and we've got our Alfredo. I'm going to give it a test to see how it turned out. Grab a little bit of chicken, if I can get the chicken to cooperate. A little bit of broccoli, if I can catch a piece of broccoli. And some noodle. And we give it a test. A little messy, but really good. And there you go.